Tonight is about a definition of resilience and a couple of insights into it. I've spent something like 8 years reviewing the studies and the information and the relevant books and so on, and also in that time teaching it. And because of my informed relationship with my student base, I get back the information on what helps, what works, what changes. A lot of it's very subtle. People come to me and say, well, I wouldn't have been able to do this, or I wouldn't have been able to cope with this, and now I can. So that's a kind of an overall perspective of the benefits of an improvement in resilience. And largely that's what it's basically down to, is it's about, are we capable of coping? Is there a capacity to cope? And when our cup runneth over with adversity, and that's why I often refer to resilience as a capacity to cope. So the definition that I use for resilience is the capacity to cope with adversity in a way that helps us learn how to cope with future adversity. That's quite long-winded, and I doubt if you'll see it anywhere else. I looked at many definitions of adversity, and they all seem to be, this is a resilient person, this isn't. So it all refers to the state. A lot of those studies are focused on trying to identify what traits resilient people have, and then making that advice available, which is a useful thing. But there are all sorts of things that we can do to increase our resilience, but not many things that we can do to increase our resilience which are universally available to us in the future, irrespective of the adversity that we encounter. The example that I often use is, well, there's a couple of examples. One is that when things get difficult, it's not unusual for people to use chemical crutches of some sort or another. There's everything from alcohol to prescribed pharmaceuticals and street drugs and so on and so forth. It all has a shelf life. Sometimes, if in the case of something that's prescribed for a particular individual, might be actually what they need, essential. So I'm not knocking any of it, but they all have a shelf life. And one of the other examples that I use is a thing that's really good for your resilience, which is exercise. Exercise is a very powerful benefit. It reduces stress hormones in the body, pumps up endorphins, which are feel-good hormones. You're physically more resilient. So if your adversity includes something where your body's challenged as well as your mind, then it's really useful. And you are also able to get a sense of progress and get a sense of doing something positive for yourself. So there's a whole range of benefits. Yet again, maybe on a longer time scale, that has a shelf life as well. So when I look at the things that we can do to help us build resilience that will last us in a lifetime, there are less of those. I've got a list of 7 which I've curated and which are not my construct, but they're what I've taken from the reliable literature. Here they are: presence, being here now, mindfulness, I've put that at the beginning of the list for obvious reasons. Connection, sense of connection to others, sense of connection to nature, exercise, movement. Acceptance is an interesting thing. It's there are many studies that I've identified that if somebody doesn't have expectations that they can avoid adversity, I know that's a double negative, so they have expectations that they can avoid adversity, then when they encounter it, it's less easy to deal with. So having a kind of stoic acceptance that adversity is part of life is beneficial. Contributing, I've specified this, it isn't just working for a charity. The thing that seems to work the best, having spoken with a number of people who have dedicated their lives to the well-being of other people, what seems to work best, and I haven't dug into the literature here, but my personal experience tells me this without doubt, is when you contribute to a group who you're connected with, you feel like it's part of your community, and you feel like you're getting something back, whether that's approval, whether it's appreciation, whether it's attention, affection, love, care, whatever it happens to be. If it's a two-way, and I know charity essentially is the left hand knowing not what the right hand is doing, but in the perspective of resilience, this contributing to that group that I feel part of, that I get something from, seems to be far more beneficial. Lifelong learning is an incredibly powerful thing. I've many students, some of them in their 80s, they're never going to give up, and 90s, never going to give up learning. We'll try any new thing. In fact, there may even be one listening in tonight. And then we've got appreciation, and that's just a high level thing. If we're gaining fulfillment from the universe, from the experience of it, if we can practice self-compassion. Self-compassion's the key to all of this appreciation and gratitude. Because first of all, we need to give ourselves the permission to appreciate and be grateful for our experiences. So I've basically clarified these 7 elements of resilience. I'm largely picking from the information that's publicly available. It's not me, this, although I have my own perspective of it. The other thing is about resilience. It can be learned. It can also be unlearned. The coping mechanisms that many of us use, that this is part of the shelf life concept of resilience. The benefits can diminish over time. The chemical crutches is the obvious one. But the benefits, because of our continuously fragmenting society, the benefits of family and friends and so on can diminish over time as well. And so we need to be aware of that, and we need to mitigate for it by finding, and there are a number of these, this isn't just about mindfulness and meditation. There are a lot of things here. Take appreciation, take acceptance, for example. Take connection. In fact, most of them are innate. And as we go through life, our life experiences and the practices that we adopt to do personal development in these areas can all be increased. That's what resilience is. Why do we want it? And without putting too fine a point on it, there's only one thing I can ever promise anyone in their future, and that is adversity at some point. Even for those of us who've lived a charmed life at some point, even if it's just at the end of it, we will encounter this. And so how do you get it? Well, these are the universally accepted traits, practices, behaviours, perspectives that help us build resilience. And they're also performance enhancers, they're stress reducers, they're emotional regulators, they're transformatory tools. It's the same set of tools essentially for everything. It's just what the focus is, and in this case the focus is on resilience. So now for tonight's meditations, what I'll do is just sound the bell of the present moment so that we can notice it move through time. Part of the benefits of focusing on our bodies when we first begin to meditate and relaxing, releasing tension, what we're doing is clearing away a barrier to experiencing the body in the present moment. The cycle of worry and anxiety and stress is just that. They're all interconnected. So this connection to the present moment that the bell brings around, and then the beginning of the connection to the body that awareness of breath brings about, helps us to be aware of the state of the body and the mind, psychophysiological state. And we can move into our physiology to allow ourselves to become aware of it, and then that awareness of it brings to our attention whatever tension there is. So we can be structured about checking in with the body. We can move into an open, balanced and relaxed posture. and our body will tell us where the tension is. As we move through the body, becoming aware of the elbows by the side, the head balanced comfortably on top of the spine, whatever tension there is in the face, which we can notice a little bit more easily by placing the tongue up against the back of the top teeth. So it's gently in contact with the sharp part of the bottom teeth. And maintaining an awareness of the out breath throughout this. Checking in with the tension in the eyes, the jaw, the shoulders, and the hands. And connecting our awareness of these parts of the body with the out breath. So we can bring our attention to the eyes any way that we wish. Personally, I very often, when it works for me, focus my attention on the center of the eyeballs. And maintaining that awareness, remain aware of the out breath. So I'm associating that focus on the eyeballs with the relaxation that's in the out breath. Same thing with the jaw, bringing my attention to the jaw. Noticing each out breath. And then the shoulders. Focusing on the out breath, noticing the shoulders dropping as I breathe out. Allowing the weight of the arms to pull the shoulders down. And then the hands. I'll either scan down from the wrists to the tips of the fingers, or gently allow my awareness to stay with the fingers, the fingertips. If I have the thumb and first finger very, very gently in contact. I'm checking in with the torso and the pelvic girdle, the hips, the lower back, the buttocks, the waist, the abdomen, the chest, and the upper back. And I'm releasing the tension enough to allow myself to slump, although I won't slump because I'm in a balanced posture. And then that's the same with the shoulders and back and sides of the neck and the upper chest. Allowing it all to slump. Which is what would happen if my back wasn't as straight as it is and my head wasn't balanced comfortably on top of the spine. And then allowing the head and neck to release whatever tension there is in them. All on the out breath. Gently allowing the tightness out of the body. And throughout this process is also connection to the present moment. As we breathe out, we're able to notice the breath synchronizing with the movement of sound through time. And this connection to the body through the relaxation process gives us two powerful resilience tools. One is the connection to the body gives us feedback from the body. We bring it alive begin to notice our breath, notice the sensations that come back from the body, notice our emotions, get closer to them. Interoception. And we're also relaxing the body, which is switching off stress. So now if we move our attention to the movement of the belly, rising and falling very, very gently. Synchronized to the movement of sound through time. What we'll do is counting the breaths in a slightly different way to the normal, which is we're counting the out breaths. So we count first out breath is 1, second out breath is 2, third out breath is 3, fourth out breath is 4, up to 10. When we reach 10, return to 1. And then it's 1 out breath, 2 on the second out breath, 3 on the third out breath, up to 10. Reach 10, back to 1. When we lose count, back to 1. So we're always coming back to 1 to start off. And we're also connected to whatever tension there is in the body. So we allow the mind to select the part of the body that we focus on as we breathe out. Because that's where the tension is, and that's what we're going to relax. So counting on the out breath, up to 10, reach 10, back to 1, lose count, back to 1. This is the way that it's normally taught, counting the breaths. Just practice this for the next few minutes. moving our awareness into the body. It's best if we choose a place, the ones that seem to work the best. We bring our awareness to within our heads, where in the West we believe that the self resides. And so that can be behind the eyes, in the head, you get to choose. Or in the heart area, just bringing our soft, gentle awareness to this part of the body. Or lower down, equidistant between the belly and the lower back, just below the belly button. The Dantian, the sea of chi or ki, the life force that the Eastern traditions teach. And to access the area behind the breastbone where the heart is, or the Dantian, there's a sense of allowing ourselves to sink down there, to be comfortable, slowly. We're just aware of that. It's not a sharp, focused attention, so we're not focusing on a single point. It's a soft, gentle, relaxed awareness. Can also focus on the third eye. It's not entirely dissimilar experience. And we just stay aware of the inner body, as Eckhart Tolle calls it. And we're noticing the breath happening in the other parts of the body. And there can be a sense of the entire body, a sense of the blood flowing, a sense of the heart beating, a sense of the breath rising and falling. And we can still be aware of the out-breath throughout this, aware of tension possibly creeping back, or aware of the body releasing tension on the out breath. But the essence of this really is the sense of awareness of the body from within the body. And now gently readjusting our awareness to the movement of the belly. And the rising and falling. And the movement of sound through time. And gently return your attention to your surroundings.